A coaxial RF connector is an electrical connector designed to work at radio frequencies in the multi-megahertz range. RF connectors are typically used with coaxial cables and are designed to maintain the shielding that the coaxial design offers. Better models also minimize the change in transmission line impedance at the connection. Mechanically, they provide a fastening mechanism in springs for a low ohmic electric contact while sparing the gold surface, thus allowing very high mating cycles and reducing the insertion force. Research activity in the area of radio frequency circuit design has surged in the 2000s in direct response to the enormous market demand for inexpensive, high data rate wireless transceivers. Standard types: 7/16 DIN connector, a high-power 50 ohms connector originally developed by Spinner. 4.3-10 connector, a new connector interface, 1 Jack 3 plug designs. Bellingly connector, also called IEC 169-2 connector, used throughout Europe and Australia for domestic television and FM radio antenna cabling. BMA connector, also known as OSP. BNC connector, C connector. Desi-fix connector, hermaphrodite connector used mainly by Rode and Schwartz. DIN 1.0, 2.3, used for miniaturized 50 and 75 ohms coaxial modules in data and telecommunications equipment. It can have a threaded, or a push-pull lock coupling mechanism. DIN 1.6, 5.6, a 75 ohms connector, used for similar purposes as DIN 1.0, 2.3. F connector, used for domestic television installations and domestic satellite LNBs worldwide with the exception of Europe and Australia. GR connector, Motorola connector, standard AM/FM antenna connector used for automotive radios. Musa connector, a 50 ohms connector used in telecommunications and broadcast video. N connector, NMO mount connector, removable mobile antenna connector, uses a 3/4 inch mounting hole and has a large base with a 1 1/8, 18 TPI thread for attaching the antenna. SC connector, screw version of C connector, not to be confused with the fiber optic connector of the same name. TNC connector, twin lead. UHF connector, also referred to as an M-type connector by Japanese manufacturers such as Kenwood. Miniature types DIN 47223 connector, FME connector, MCX connector, miniature BNC connector, miniature UHF connector, SMZ connector, System 43 for use in DDF, sub-miniature types SMA connector, including variants 3.5 and 2.92 mm connectors, which crossmate with SMA, and 2.4, 1.85 and 1.0 mm connectors, which do not crossmate with SMA. SMB connector FAKRA, modified SMB connector with plastic housing and latch used in the automotive industry. SMC connector, micro-miniature type SIMP connector, MMCX connector, MMS connector, MMT connector, UMP connector, Aerosay UFL connector, Aerosay WFL connector, precision types APC7 connector, flange connectors EIA-RF connectors. Series of flange connectors, normally used in high-power broadcast transmission sites with rigid lines. Quick lock connectors HPQN connector, mini quick connector, QLS connector, QMA and QN connector, mini QMA connector, WQMA connector, snap connector, high voltage types HN connector, a high voltage version of the N connector, MHV connector, a coaxial connector designed for high voltages. SHV connector, a safer coaxial connector designed for high voltages. Blind mate types BMA connector, BMMA connector, BZ connector, BMZ connector, SMP connector, SMPM connector,